In the last 2 years, companies have spent over $10 trillion on artificial intelligence. Nvidia's stock went from $150 to over $900. Microsoft spent $60 billion on AI infrastructure. Google, Amazon, Meta, everyone is betting everything on AI. Jensen Huang, Nvidia's CEO, says AI will revolutionize every industry. Sam Altman says AGI, artificial general intelligence, is coming within years. And investors are pouring money in like there's no tomorrow. But here's what nobody's talking about. The math doesn't work. Companies are spending hundreds of billions building AI, and they're making almost nothing back. The revenue isn't there. The use cases are limited, and the costs are astronomical. This is the dot-com bubble all over again, except bigger, way bigger. Let me show you why $10 trillion in AI investments is about to vanish. There's a pattern in technology that repeats every generation. A new technology emerges. Everyone says it will change everything. Investors pour in billions, stock prices explode, then reality hits. The technology works, but not at the scale promised. The revenue doesn't materialize. Companies that spent billions go bankrupt. Stock prices crash, and wealth disappears. It happened with railroads in the 1800s. It happened with radio in the 1920s. It happened with .com in 2000. It happened with crypto in 2021. And it's happening right now with AI. Not because AI doesn't work, it does. But because the expectations are so inflated, the spending is so extreme, and the revenue model is so unclear that there's no way the investments can be justified. Let me walk you through exactly what's happening, show you the numbers, and explain why this ends in a crash. Let's start with the spending, because the scale is almost incomprehensible. In 2023, companies spent approximately $200 billion on AI infrastructure. Data centers, chips, power, cooling, everything needed to train and run AI models. In 2024, that number increased to $350 billion. And projections for 2025 are over $400 billion. That's close to $1 trillion in 3 years on infrastructure alone. This doesn't include the money spent on research, hiring AI engineers, acquiring AI startups, or developing applications. Just infrastructure, the physical hardware and power needed to make AI work. Who's spending this money? Start with Nvidia. They're not spending it directly, they're receiving it. Nvidia makes the GPUs, the graphics processing units that power AI. In 2022, Nvidia's data center revenue was $15 billion. In 2023, $47 billion. In 2024, it's projected to exceed $100 billion. Nvidia's revenue has increased 7 times in 2 years, and almost all of that growth is from AI chips. Companies are buying Nvidia's H100 and H200 chips at $25,000 to $40,000 each, and they're buying them by the tens of thousands. A single AI training cluster can cost $500 million to over $1 billion. And every major tech company is building multiple clusters. Microsoft has spent over $60 billion on AI infrastructure in the last 2 years. This includes data centers, chips, power systems, and acquiring stakes in OpenAI. $13 billion invested directly in OpenAI. The rest on infrastructure to run AI services. Google has spent approximately $50 billion on AI infrastructure. They're building their own chips, TPUs, and buying Nvidia GPUs. Meta has spent over $40 billion. Amazon, over $30 billion. These are the big 5. Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, and Nvidia's other customers, including Oracle, Tesla, and smaller cloud providers. Together, they've spent over $300 billion in just the last 2 years. And the spending is accelerating. But here's the critical question. What are they getting for that money? What's the revenue? Because spending $300 billion is only justified if you're making that back plus profit, and the revenue numbers don't support the spending. Let's break it down company by company. OpenAI, the company that started this with ChatGPT, has revenue of approximately $3.5 billion annually as of late 2024. That's up from $1 billion in 2023. Impressive growth. But OpenAI is not profitable. They're losing money. Reports suggest they're burning through over $5 billion annually on compute costs alone, paying Microsoft and others for cloud infrastructure. So they have $3.5 billion in revenue and over $5 billion in costs. That's a $2 billion loss. And their valuation is $150 billion. They're valued at 43 times revenue for a company losing billions. Microsoft has integrated AI into almost everything. Copilot in Office, Azure AI services, Bing with ChatGPT. But the revenue from AI-specific products is murky. Microsoft doesn't break it out clearly. Estimates suggest AI adds maybe 10 to 15 billion annually to Microsoft's revenue. That's significant. But Microsoft spent $60 billion building it, at 10 to 15 billion per year. It'll take 4 to 6 years just to break even on the infrastructure investment. And that assumes the revenue doesn't decline and the costs don't increase. Neither is guaranteed. Google's AI revenue comes primarily from cloud AI services and integrating AI into search and ads. Again, not broken out clearly. But estimates suggest AI contributes maybe 15 to 20 billion annually. Google spent 50 billion, 3 to 4 years to break even, and that's optimistic. Because Google's AI, Gemini, is free for most users, they're giving it away to compete with ChatGPT. Giving away a product that costs billions to run is not a revenue model. It's a defensive strategy to avoid losing market share. Meta has integrated AI into ad targeting and content recommendation. This genuinely improves their core business. But the new AI products, like Meta AI Assistant, minimal revenue. Meta spent 40 billion on AI and Reality Labs. Most users don't pay for Meta's AI features. They're free. So Meta is spending tens of billions to improve ad targeting, which does increase ad revenue, but the marginal revenue from AI is hard to isolate. And the consumer-facing AI products are just cost centers. Amazon's AI is in AWS, Alexa, and fulfillment optimization. AWS AI services generate revenue, maybe 10 to 15 billion. But Amazon spent 30 billion. Again, years to break even. And Alexa, despite being an AI assistant for a decade, has never been profitable. Amazon loses billions on Alexa annually. Adding more AI to a product that already loses money doesn't fix the problem.